to vote 14. The third item on the agenda, we will consider draft committee reports, minutes, and tracking document. And lastly, we will formulate any resolutions if there are any. Opportunity will be provided to members of the public who may be present in the meeting to pose question in relation to the vote that will be deliberated, but that will be after the members as well as the department has made their inputs. So in order for us to start the meeting properly, could I have any indication of the members present, and may they introduce themselves for record purposes?
Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, colleagues. Andrikus van der Westhuizen, a member of this committee.
Matlodi Maseko, member of the committee.
Afternoon, Chair and everyone present. Pat Moran, alternate member of this committee.
Any other members present?
Yes. Member Smith, I'm present. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, colleagues. Good afternoon. Did I hear another voice? Okay. Thank you, colleagues, for the introduction, and welcome to our meeting. And may we have a fruitful engagement. Johan, are there any apologies for the record?
Chairperson, no, I have not received any apologies.
So, colleagues, I hear somewhere background noise, so we'll, just mute our mics. So,
Chairperson, it seems like Ida Barnett, her mic is not muted. If she could just mute her mic.
Okay, so I'll just, okay, good. There we go. Colleagues, we are all familiar with the rules of engagement with virtual meetings. Safe to say that this is a public meeting and it is also broadcast on YouTube. And unfortunately, for logistical reasons, we do not have interpretation services available. And so I would urge members to use English as a medium of communication for ease of understanding in relation to all our members, for all our members. So, colleagues, I think the minister is present. Welcome, Minister Bredell. And your department, led by Mr. Graham Paulser. And I'm going to provide an opportunity to the minister if you wish to make some opening remarks, and then we will take it from there. Good afternoon, Minister. Before Minister proceed, I see there is a hand. Mr. Moran, Honourable Moran,
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Chair, for interrupting this meeting. Chair, just for your information, between myself and the Honourable Smith, basically I've agreed that I will have full member status within this meeting. There's a possibility that he might leave also this meeting early. Thanks.
Oh, good. No problem. Thank you, Honourable Moran. Minister, over to you.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson, members of the Standing Committee, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I would like to start off by first congratulate all the elected councils in the Western Cape, including the City of Cape Town, that has been formally constituted with elected representatives. I wish the various councils all the very best for the next 5 years. The Department of Local Government has developed a comprehensive election support strategy to ensure we are supporting and building the capacity of our municipalities efficiently. It includes the capacitation and training of new councillors. We also want to focus on the support with the establishment of ward committees, as well as the development of integrated development plans for the new planning cycle. Ongoing advice and support with legal and other interpretations during the transitional period will also be provided for. Chairperson, it is therefore safe to say that my department and I are more than ready to provide the councils with the necessary support and, most importantly, provide quality service delivery to the people. Chairperson, we are proud to be amongst the best performing provinces in this country, and through this transition commit to doing even more. My department will play a pivotal role in facilitating a smooth transition post the local government election process, particularly given that in the province we have 16 municipalities governed through coalitions. More support will be required from the department to ensure that governance and service delivery in municipalities is not negatively affected. Also notable is the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the financial sustainability of our municipalities. This has the potential to negatively affect the ability of municipalities to render quality and sustainable services in their communities, both now and in the foreseeable future. The department, in collaboration with the Hans Seidel Foundation, in designing a financial sustainability model for municipalities that will assist in identifying alternative revenue streams, as well as a basket of services and minimum levels of services which municipalities should render to communities. Honourable Chairperson, citizens view government as a single entity. In practical terms, the citizens does not distinguish between the three spheres of government and expect local councillors to take responsibility for matters not legislatively assigned to them. It is therefore important that while we strengthen public participation in municipalities, we also educate citizens on their role in local government to improve their perception about local government. Chair, I now turn to the adjustments budget for the Department of Local Government and will provide you with high-level overview of the allocations, and thereafter the department will provide you with the detail thereof. The budget allocated to the department during the 21-22 financial year was 348,664,000, and during the adjustment process, this amount was adjusted downwards, a decrease of 6,018,000 rand to 342,646,000 rand. The adjustments are necessary to ensure that my department's responsibility of ensuring that municipalities remain functional and stable from political, administrative and service delivery governance perspective is fulfilled. This is achieved through, amongst others, supporting and building the capacity of municipalities. The following details the adjustment estimates for 21-22 financial year. Compensation of employees. The original main budget of 197,400,000 rand has been adjusted to 191,236,000 rand, and adjustment of 6,164,000 rand, of which 6 million rand on COE to be surrendered to the Provincial Revenue Fund, reallocated towards drought support over the 2020-22 MTF. Furthermore, 164,000 rand has been shifted to transfers and subsidies for leave payout. Goods and services. The original budget of 69,392,000 rand has been adjusted to 60,171,000 rand. An amount of 9,419,000 rand has been shifted to transfers and subsidies to provide support to municipalities through the joint district and metro approach. Honourable Chairperson, transfers and subsidies. The original budget of 77,476,000 rand has been increased to 83,563,000 rand, an increase to transfer and subsidies by an amount of 6,087,000 rand. Payment and capital assets. The original allocated budget of 4,349,000 rand has been increased to 7,621,000 rand, an increase of 3,272,000 rand. 2,527,000 rand to be utilized for information technology equipment, including refresh, official equipment, office equipment, and audio-visual equipment for the Tucson Outreach Program. 745,000 rand is a rollover from the 2020-21 financial year to fund the procurement of computers in computer equipment and audio-visual equipment for the 9th floor Waldorf building. Honourable Chair, in closing, I want to end off by thanking the head of the department, Mr. Graham Paulser, and his team, and all the colleagues who have been doing incredible work this past year. I also want to give a special thanks to our Disaster Management Centre and the officials staffing the centre. I thank you for your support, and with that, Honourable Chairperson, I'm going to hand back to you for the deliberations on the adjustment budget. I thank you.
Thank you, Minister, for those introductory remarks and high-level overview of the adjustments. I am going to move on to Mr. Paulser. If there's anything that you'd like to add or by means of introduction, you may take the floor. Thank you.
Good morning, Honourable Chairperson and Honourable members, to the Minister and our colleagues on the platform. Honourable Chairperson, at this stage, I think I have nothing to add to the Minister's input. The Minister has covered a high-level input, so I'm at this stage have no further input on that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Paulser. Colleagues, you have received the documentation outlining the movement of funds and the various appropriation to the votes. Floor is open. If there's any questions that you'd like to ask in relation to the adjustments that was shared with you today, that's contained in the appropriation bill. Wow. So nobody was like to ask the questions, and maybe I should. Okay. I see Honourable Moran. You may go, Honourable Moran. You may ask your question.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I will be short. Look, Chair, these adjusted population is not different from a main budget of 348, of which the ANC have not supported at that point, at that time. And then downwards adjustment of 6 million rand. And yesterday in the budget meeting, we have basically spoke about this 6 million rand, and 6 million rand that was meant for a disaster, which is drought. We know there's many different disasters. For instance, if you look now at the Southern Cape and the floods basically happened there over the last weekend. We are going into a fire season, December, January, and for the last couple of years, Chair, more than 5, 6, 7 years, we have basically struggled with a disaster which is drought in your Karoo, your Oudtshoorn area, Kannaland, and also your Matsikama. And yesterday when it was reported that 6 million rand downwards adjustment when it comes to the local government department, and that specific one that speaks to drought, we're a bit disappointed. And basically, we have raised the issue when we had an oversight visit, I think it was last year or the beginning of this year, when the Garden Route district mayor basically shared with us the difficulties and what they experience, also when it comes to the agricultural side and where they have to provide water under very difficult circumstances. It then, Chair, it's actually disappointed where we have to surrender money and 6 million rand from the drought budget. I hear what the MEC, and it was also basically said yesterday that it will be made provision within the new 22-23 MTF. But the disaster, Chair, when it happens, it required immediate assistance. It's not something that you can delay, whether it's for 2, 3, 4 days or a month or a year. We have to deal with that disaster immediately. Chair, I've also, although there is some internal shifts, Chair, from the different votes, as I've said, this budget is no different from the one that we as the ANC have rejected earlier this year. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Moran. Honourable van der Westhuizen, I recognize you.
Thank you, Chair. And I do hope that my bandwidth will be good. I received a message here that of bad network quality, and unfortunately I was unable to draw your attention earlier because of that.
Yeah. Loud and clear.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair. Chair, my first question would also relate to disaster. May I just first say that I think the audiovisual equipment for the Disaster Management Centre may seem like a luxury, but my impression is that, you know, in times of disaster, you're literally and figuratively, or by figure of speech, you need a clear picture of what is happening. So I believe that would be a highly warranted expenditure. But may I add to that two things, Chair, a remark and then a question. The first one is communication is of the utmost importance during disasters. And my first question would be, to what extent, you know, are we satisfied that with this audiovisual equipment that the communication to particularly teams on the ground would also benefit, or that they are sufficiently covered by the current equipment that we have? The second one is just, Chair, if we are entering the fire season, we've had in the Boland a year of average to above average rainfall, and to what extent, you know, would we be again supported by the national government in terms of aerial firefighting efforts, etc.? Do we have any clarity on that? And then also, Chair, in terms of disasters, I'm in full support of the studies on the groundwater. I think it's an amount of 4 million rand that's additionally being put aside because I think it's a matter of concern to many of us that we are now going to rely more and more on groundwater, and that we need to be able to determine whether it is a sustainable resource and to what extent can we benefit that resource in a sustainable manner. But then, Chair, I also am glad to see that some extra money is being put aside for forensic investigations, and I'm just wondering whether that might be one of the reasons why the ANC is not so in favour of this budget from the onset. But can I just ask, what is the position of councillors that retired in November? My impression is that new councils have been formed, that in terms of law, therefore that the former council and many of the actions of former councillors may not be obviously carried over into the current council, which is a completely new body. to what extent would those forensic investigations still be of value to us in our fight against corruption? And then the next one is, Chair, to what extent do we have serious delays? Because it seems to me the extra money would have been caused by the pressure on the forensics experts to move swiftly and to deal with transgressions in the shortest time possible. And the fact that more money is being needed just seems to me as if that division may be under pressure. Perhaps the Minister can just give us an indication of the extent of the demand for the services and whether there are any delays that we should be concerned about. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable van der Westhuizen. Honourable Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I just want to find out, and I agree with Member Andrikas that, I mean, we are talking all the time about the fourth industrial revolution, that the department has to be innovative, or the departments have to be innovative. So this allocation will be one of, to me, being innovative if you are going to get technology that will warn you in advance, or maybe to look at where the disaster is happening. But the question from me, it will be, you know, one of the contributors in the disaster in the local government is the informal settlements. And I haven't seen any appetite, whether being from the Department of Local Government or from Human Settlements, in saying, as they do the upgrading of the informal settlement, how do they have something in place when the disaster hits those places that they can say there is a out of ordinary alarm to say that that is happening, or any other thing that maybe the department can say they've got something in place also, because it becomes, for instance, you'll have the fire that will start in formal settlement and it will go throughout into the vegetation, that at the end it becomes something that the department didn't anticipate, or the municipality didn't anticipate that it can go that far. So are we having a system that will include, or this allocation will include also in areas where it's not just vegetation only, it will also be it will also cover those informal settlements, because land invasion happens, and as it happens, it becomes the responsibility within the local government, whether we agree with it or not. That is the reality of what is happening, and we need to have the systems in place to say, how are we being proactive to make sure that there is something in place to deal with that. Another one that maybe I will ask the department is, I'm trying to understand why we don't have in the department maybe allocation that can be for the assets registration, also to maybe help the municipalities for the land use planning, so that we don't have a lot of land invasions at the rapid pace that is happening, for them to indicate what is it that they're going to do with those land parcels before land invasion can happen, because that the ripple effect, it becomes the extra cost that has to do with services that are going to be there, because this one of the disaster, automatically it becomes part of the extra costs that are going to be faced by the department. It might be with other departments, it's different of how do they come in when that disaster has happened, but also this department will be affected or affected one way or another. Chair, I think that's all from me.
Okay, thank you, Honourable Maseko. Okay, just before the Minister of the Department respond, I just want to add 2 questions, and I think that may be the end of the first round. I just want to know the logic, or maybe I could possibly have misread the entry, the movement of the earmark funding for the joint district model from program 2 to program 3, and what's the logic behind it, and why was it necessary to do it that way? And secondly, the response I received yesterday from Provincial Treasury regarding the surrendering of the 6 million, partly the explanation that was provided was the inability of the department to procure the services of hydrologists in a full-time capacity, and therefore that is one of the reasons why the money was then surrendered, so to speak. If that is true, Minister, you know, and I know we've spoken about it in the past, how difficult it is to procure those skills on a full-time basis in terms of the compensation that we can offer those specialists. If it is true what the Treasurer is saying, where in the process are we with regard to that particular matter? Thank you. I think.
You want me to go, Chair?
Minister, you can go, or the HOD can go, whichever can respond.
Let me quickly just give a first bite and get some of the things out of the way, and then the HOD and the team can come in. I think it's important that we do realize, Chairperson, I think it's important for the Standing Committee to also realize that on a national level, our country's in serious financial trouble. On national level, they're going to cut 14.7 billion rand from municipalities. So it will have a ripple effect right through to all our municipalities at the end of the day. So all the great things we want to do, we will need to think very carefully, because we don't have the luxury of having funds to do everything. Obviously, we keep a close eye on disaster management. We've got a passion. We've got, I think, the best disaster management system within this country and maybe on the African continent. People with a passion, people will do anything to save lives, etc. And we need to try to give them the right training and the right equipment to do their job. Go on to Mr. van der Westhuizen, Honourable Member van der Westhuizen's disaster management, and we're very worried because for the last couple of years there was this rumours that the working for fire teams will not be funded by national anymore, etc. That obviously, if that rumour starts to walk, it puts a damper on the contract, it puts a damper on the training, on the people within that system. There's 6,000 people within that system, and Colin and his team, and he can maybe expand a bit. The HOD have signed off. They've a year or so ago started with the supply chain process so that we can secure our own air support to the disaster teams. But what I'm very worried about is the ground crew. It's the working for fire crew, and this system is actually subsidized by national because you can shift the teams throughout the country. So we on the edge, we're very worried about this fire season. Coming fire season, we try to be as ready as possible, but this is a red flag and we must keep a close eye, and the HOD and his team can expand on that. To Member Museko, just one of, it's difficult when you sit with 1,025 illegal land invasions in the city of Cape Town in 1 year. I mean, no government can be ready for that. We can plan and do whatever we like, but within this financial constraint, we just don't have enough resources. We do have programs like the smoke alarm program, through which we save a lot of lives with partnerships of the private sector. The important thing that we need to understand is that 108,000 people moving to the Western Cape in 12 months during the COVID, the pressure on services. Let me, for example, tell you on water services, the 108,000 people, to accommodate them, we need 21.7 million extra liters of water per day. That's what we need to accommodate them. Now, we can't make water, so it's how we're going to manage this resource. And why I know these figures is that we in the department are already planning for the next up to 2030. And we're doing this planning for all the municipalities to see how can we get ahead, not only maintaining infrastructure, but seeing to that we've got enough and built enough bulk infrastructure to reticulate water, etc., and to look at the quality of services as well as the quantity. But this is going to be a huge challenge because of population growth and the migration of people. And the only way we're going to overcome this is by working together. Then, Honourable Chairperson, I just want to touch on one thing that you said, the due diligence, etc. It wasn't the inability of the department to procure them. It's the problem that most of these skills are highly professional skills and highly in demand in the private sector, and they just don't have the appetite to work for a year, to take up a year contract. So it's the same with engineers, it's the same with those kind of people that if we want to attract those skills, then we cannot offer them a year contract. But I'm going to stop there. I'm going to hand over to my HOD, Graham Paul. So thank you, Graham.
Sure. Honourable Chairperson, I must say the Minister knows what's going on in the department. I think he's given excellent explanations for some of the adjustments. So I'm going to try to give some technical between myself and some of the senior managers, as well as the CFO and Audrey, maybe to give technical explanations on it. So just the first thing around, I just want to say around the 6 million. It's I agree with the Minister, it's not the inability. I will ask Marius and Ira to explain the number of recruitment and selection processes that we've gone through, as well as the headhunting. But based on our negotiations with the Provincial Treasury, we are getting the money back in the new financial year, and that we fundamentally will target for drought initiatives in the drought-stricken areas. We do on an annual basis a biannual assessment on the risks in relation to water and drought. And based on that, we use that data and that evidence to support some municipalities in relation to water augmentation initiatives and drought initiatives within the province. So that funding doesn't go to waste. Given the fact that the earmarked funding around drought is ending, we have negotiated with the Provincial Treasury, given the fact that we'll no more get additional funding for the drought, that we can use this money for other stuff and so on. But I'll ask Ida and Marius to elaborate on it. I will ask perhaps Colin just to reflect on the audio visual equipment, and if Bhavna and Audrey wants to add, it's fine. And then the fires as well. Groundwater, I will speak to Marius can reflect on it. And then the forensic investigations, I'm going to ask Ira and Gary. If Gary's on the platform, I can speak to the additional work around what we're doing with the SIU and how do we increase the capacity on the forensic services. We're getting 15 million over 3 years, 5 million, 5 million, and 5 million. And the Minister has indicated we suspect that there will be an increase on fraud, corruption, and maladministration because we're picking certain trends up, emerging trends in the local government environment around fraud, corruption, and maladministration. And at another time, at another day, we can maybe reflect more on this. Colin, to maybe respond, if you wish to add to the input of the Minister on this, the informal settlements. And then the land invasions, the land use planning, I think that's for the Minister's other department. That department makes allocations. But this department, local government, is also heads up the priority committee on land invasions in the province. And we're working with the prof joints in other provincial departments, national departments, as well as SALGA and municipalities. We drive it. We've got a strategic committee on land invasions, as well as a technical committee led by the department and other HODs. So we are responsible from a prof joints perspective for the priority committee on land invasions, and we can talk again about that. And Honourable Chairperson, just a correction on the earmark funding for JDMA. It has not moved from 2 to 3 program. It has moved from 1 to 2, but we can provide a further detail in relation to that. So in that sequence, Honourable Chairperson, can I just ask the senior managers to respond, and between myself, Bhavna and Audrey, we will sweep the balance. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Paul. So I think that a lot of the questions are not directly related to the adjustment budget. So I'll ask the respondents to keep it brief as possible, because we have a very limited time for this particular meeting to deal with the adjustments and related matters and other reports that we need to deal with as well. Thank you, and you may proceed.
Honourable Chairperson, just to advise, Colin is with us in the room, so he is in a meeting and he will respond to these questions.
Good, thank you so much.
Okay. Please proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. I would just give.
There's an echo on your mic.
Checking our machines quickly. There we go. So from my side, good afternoon, Chairperson and honourable members. I will address 2 questions. The first one specifically relates to the 6 million rand, and that is for the engineers. And I think just to provide a little bit of context to that, we received this money specifically for us to appoint dedicated senior engineers that can help us to drive our drought response team physically out in the municipality. So they're not office-based, they're actually working in all of the districts where we have running projects. And we have a dual strategy. So on the one hand, we have the engineers, on the other hand, we have the geohydrologists. And they literally support the municipalities, and they also provide guidance and assistance to us as the department and the municipalities. And some of the successes that we can now ascribe to this program is specifically because of this resources. So I just wanted to make the point that the geohydrologist in actual fact is not 6 million rand. The 6 million rand was specifically for drought engineers, senior engineers. The geohydrologists are currently still on our service, and they're being paid from another grant. So, and they are currently still providing support and assistance to the department. As far as the engineers are concerned, I think I just want to connect with my HOD chair, if I may. We actually went out 3 different times to try and attract suitably qualified engineers for this assignment, and it's only year contracts, which makes it very difficult, which in practical terms means that the person must leave a job only for a year contract, and that's why we really struggled. So after 3 attempts, we were not able to find any engineers. Went as far as to go into negotiations with the Department of Public Works to try and secure possible people that they may be aware of. We still couldn't find people. So what we've then done is we actually surrendered some of the money because we had difficulty. In the meantime, we appointed 2 people. They've already started service, and we're very pleased with the progress that they are making. And then secondary, I think also just to indicate, and I've indicated on this platform before, that to try and assist us, we actually dropped some of the levels to slightly more junior engineers, but also engineers that are not necessarily professional engineers, but professional technologists, technicians, and also project managers. So Chair, I'm going to stop there, and then Maurice is sitting right next to me. He will address the question specifically relating to groundwater.
Good afternoon, Chair. I'm going to touch on the issue or the matter that was raised on geohydrologists. It's a highly specialized skills, and therefore why we appoint consultants. In most of our drought-stricken areas, the municipalities are almost 100% dependent on groundwater. So the way in which you abstract this water out of the ground is of utmost importance to ensure that these well fields or if this groundwater and the boreholes are not going to collapse, because that is what happens if you are abstracting more than you should be abstracting. So these geohydrologists assist municipalities with the development of sustainable abstraction plans out of these well fields. They further go and they also extend our support to provide to the municipalities technical guidance in terms of the development of specifications, as well as on even the provision of training on SOPs on the better management of water resources. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Marius.
Thank you, HOD. Good afternoon, Honourable Chair and Honourable Members. Just to touch on 3 issues, the one around the communication and the digital capacity of the Disaster Management Centre. So yes, communication is probably the biggest force multiplier we have as far as disaster management is concerned, and especially if we are deploying large groups. But specifically in a big fire, you could deploy up to 1,000 people, and it's very, very important over large areas to understand where they all are. So we do have our own radio channel in disaster management, which is allocated to us, and we're able to speak to all the resources on that channel. The radios are obviously, in terms of the system we have, are capable of reaching and tuning into that channel. We also have a mobile repeater system. So if we are in an area like a couple of years ago when we were in Wuppertal with that fire, we're able to set up our own communication system, which can talk back to the disaster center. We make use of a lot of digital communication, and this is specifically where our audiovisual equipment comes in the disaster center, because we can literally send maps and information and visuals to the operational commanders on the ground. They can send information back to us for decision making. We can provide that information to the minister and the HOD if it's required. We do that quite often. But then we even go further, and we actually have maps printed of all our high-risk fire areas, where we place our resources, where our command posts would be, where our water points would be. And that is, if we lose all communication, that would then be our further backup. So communication, we put a lot of effort in making sure we've got a lot of redundancies. Then as far as the minister mentioned about the wildfire program, we're the only province in the country that pays for our own aerial resources and our own wildfire response program. We did, as the minister mentioned, there was the problem as far as the working on fire contract was concerned. For that reason, the department decided to go on a tender this year so that we could not be reliant on the national tender. However, the funding for the ground teams and some of the additional aircraft funding does come from national, and we're extremely concerned that if that contract does run to an end and it doesn't get renewed, it's going to be problematic for us. So we are arranging a meeting on official level in this week to speak to the national department. And should there be any problems as far as that is concerned, we will then escalate it to the minister. Then just as far as the incidents in informal settlements are concerned, we spend a lot of effort in developing what we call modeling. So what we do is we look at the risk in an informal settlement, and we are then able to, through the digital systems we have, the information systems that we have, we can actually map if we have a flood, which areas will be flooded. And that allows us to be able to evacuate people, to prepare sandbagging, to give warnings to people, etc. So the early warning systems are very much part of what we do. When we receive the warnings, we run the models, and we're then able to inform people what the situation is and get people to safety. And then I think the other thing also is, not only do we do that from an early warning perspective, but we also capacitate our services as far as providing vehicles are concerned. The province over the last 6 years has procured more than 60 firefighting and rescue vehicles, which we've provided to municipalities. And then the smoke alarm system that the minister spoke about, we're running a program where we want to try and get a smoke alarm into every single informal dwelling. We have seen that in the areas where we do place smoke alarms, that our death rate has come down to almost zero. Thank you, HOD.
Thanks, Colin. So, Honourable Chairperson, just a final word from my side. So we were just in in an attempt to increase our own capacity, besides the funding that we got from the provincial treasury, we are also in negotiations with the provincial SIU, and I had discussions this morning with Mike Lisa on the SIU, and so we wish to collaborate in the province, and will most probably in due course sign an agreement between ourselves and the SIU, where they will give us additional capacity to deal with some of the matters in relation to alleged fraud, corruption, and maladministration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. So I think that we have a little time because our next meeting is only at 2. I think that there's a question Honourable Van der Westhuizen asked regarding outgoing councils and new councils. I don't know if Honourable Van der Westhuizen would like to repeat the question, and maybe you can just briefly respond to that.
My apology, Honourable Chairperson. We've got a question. I'm going to ask us Kamal to reflect on it, about the outgoing councillors. Kamal?
Measures on this forensic department.
Thank you, Chair. Just to respond to the question that was posed by Honourable Member Van der Westhuizen regarding the investigations pertaining to outgoing councillors. Those investigations in terms of Section 106 will still have to continue at the end of the day, because I mean, once you've initiated the investigation, you still need to continue with that investigations in relation to any allegations that were imposed on those councillors, so that there can be a finding relating to what were the outcome pertaining to those ex-councillors as well, or those retired councillors, so that I mean there can be a outcome and how that outcome will then be enforced as well. Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson, just to add to Kamal, so and just in relation to that, it's obviously the code of misconduct will cease given the fact that the council is no longer a councillor. But in the event of any criminal activity and so on, that will obviously conclude by the law enforcement agencies. Kind regards. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Makana and Mr. Paulse. See, Honourable Moran would like to ask a follow-up question. Honourable Moran.
Thanks, Chair. Look, Chair, I've listened to the responses, Chair, and it actually triggered more questions. So we are saying when it comes to your wildfire and the response to that, this province is the only province basically that procures for those type of services. But at the same time also mention that we are getting support from national government. And then the question triggered then is that, is it by choice that the Western Cape is the only province that follow that route? Also, Chair, how is it that we're responding to rumors? There's a rumor, it's been said by the MEC, there's a rumor that National will stop with giving financial support when it comes to your Wi-Fi. Well, how is it possible that we are responding to rumors? Is there an official letter that comes from your national department which says, look, within the next few months, this support will be, we will not give support anymore? But as it's been put, it was said there's rumors, and I'm not sure how we're responding to rumors. There should have been official communication in terms of that. Chair, I'm not sure, and I've got full trust in you as a chairperson, how you arrived at a conclusion that is the inability of the department to get the necessary service. That's your conclusion, the inability. And then you get 3 types of 4 responses in terms of that, and the more you hear to these responses, the more it differs. Even so that it was said, it has nothing to do with a geohydrologist, but more to do appointing engineers. That geohydrologist is still on our books, but receiving, say, payment of money from another vote. But it is more to do with engineers. Say, different response from what was said at the beginning. But the 6 million rand, Chair, whether it is for the geohydrologists that we could not find or engineers that we could not find at a particular point, it's now been said that the discussion with Treasury will be so that the 6 million rand don't go waste and how we can use it for drought initiatives. What stopped us to say that we could not find this person? Can we use this 6 million rand for drought initiatives? It was the only way it seems was to surrender this money. Chair, mine is, could we not ask the provincial treasury at this point, before surrendering this money, can we use it for those drought initiatives that the HOD is speaking about for the next financial year? Then lastly, Chair, and the Honorable Van der Westhuizen basically mentioned, he was calling out my name. Obviously, I will not support this budget because of more money to investigate corruption within municipalities. I'm all for it, Chair. I'm not against forensic investigations. If a person overstep or is out of line and there needs to be dealt with that person, so be it. But this budget is not only about forensic investigations. There's more than just that. But also, Chair, that we have seen over the last couple of years where the MEC and some either individuals within this department arrest municipalities where the DA is not in control. We have seen that. You have seen a situation where the public protector have ruled twice against our MEC. So I'm all for it. I mean, we have heard the issue of George, where the son of the mayor, or the then mayor, basically, when it comes to an investment to Old Newshire, investigate everything. Not only, and I'm not saying that the more money that's now being made available for forensic investigations because of the DA is in control of lesser municipalities. We've got 16 basically municipalities that's been governed through coalition, and therefore you need more monies to arrest those 16 municipalities that's been governed through coalitions. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we should be, Chair, investigate basically where all, if we are responding to rumors, then respond also to rumors where there's allegations of maladministration within municipalities where the DA governs. If we are responding to rumors, respond to all rumors. Thanks, Chair.
Chair, you're muted.
I think you're on mute. But if I may ask, Chair, my question was really, we're allocating additional money for forensic investigations. Are they coping? Are they experiencing serious backlogs? Because I think justice needs to be seen to be, swift. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Honourable Moran, Honourable Van der Westhuizen. I think we have welcome Honourable Makamba Boita. I think you have a question you'd like to ask, and that's the last question, and we can wrap up then thereafter. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Chairperson, and good afternoon to the meeting and to the Minister. My question is on the adjusted budget pertaining to the disaster management. I might be asking an obvious question. I just want to find out from the department as to what actually constitutes a disaster. What do they classify disaster in this particular aspect, and except for the issue of drought and fire, and also if we can be given an idea of where this budget has been utilized in terms of the disaster in various municipalities. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Makamba Boita. I think the Minister and the HOD can just wrap up here quickly, and then we can excuse the Minister and the departmental officials after that, and then we can continue with committee matters. Minister, I see you are visible. If you'd like to make an input.
Chairperson, yeah, I think the Honourable Moran, that it's more than rumours. We don't get it in formal writing. If we had it in formal writing, it would have been easier. But you must remember that National also go out on tender. And if they don't renew the tender, then obviously everybody starts to talk. So we're busy, as Colin Diner has put it, that they're busy setting up the meeting. I've already put it in writing to the National Minister Creasy, because you will also say we irresponsible if we don't mention it to the standing committee who's got oversight, and coming January and there's nothing in place. And then we will all run around, and we cannot play with this because there's people's lives at stake. So I just think it's a very important platform, and therefore we need to mention that we're busy with negotiations. We've also put it to you that we've gone out on our own supply chain system and approve it so that we can have the necessary support when there's a fires, etc. The forensic unit and the forensic investigations, it's a very complex area. Remember, where a lot of people wants to put allegations to us, we must prove it in a court of law. So we, and I can put it to the standing committee, there's no political agenda here. And I really hope that the members that so easily wants to pull in the politics, then I will genuinely put it to them, they're not serious of getting rid of corruption. We act on whistleblowers. We investigate the whistleblowers. We investigate the facts. We act on the facts. And then we hand it over to the Hawks and the Public Prosecuting Authority. So if any, we need to fight that the Hawks and the Public Prosecuting Authority gets more capacity. It's not about the competence within, it's that they must get more capacity, because these things got a pipeline of investigations, of facts that you need to put before the court. Otherwise, the case will be thrown out. And I can put it to you, Honourable Chairperson and the committee, that if you look what has happened currently, and it's happened over the spectrum of politicking. It's happened in George, it happened now in Beaufort West, and last week the SIU acted in Cedarburg, which was a delegation through the president's office, where they've also arrested people. So they're going to get to the people. It's taking time, but I think everybody is serious to get rid of corruption. So there's no politicking involved. It's to see to it that we get better government and better quality of government going forward. The coalitions, and why we put it here, 16 coalitions obviously will take more effort from our department to work with, to talk to, etc. And it's not to investigate them, and we acknowledge the fact they're independent government spheres, but we've got an oversight role. And fulfilling our oversight role is also going to put more strain on the standing committee, to be quite honest with you, because coalitions is more difficult to manage. It's a fact. So there's no agenda behind it. It's just working with the facts and what democracy has put on our table, and we need to be ready to deal with that. And we as a department do our utmost best to be ready, to be independent, and to give advice according to the legal framework within which we operate as we see it. Doesn't say that we will always be 100% correct or not. Doesn't say we won't lose court cases, but we're building a system, an independent system, and my officials will not play politics. I'm very sorry, I don't believe that. I've never picked it up. They try and be as honest as possible to see to it that we tackle the challenges of service delivery. With that, I don't know if my HOD wants to come in.
Chair, that will not be able to deal with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colin. I suppose just very briefly, if you could just conclude.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just from my side, thank you for the Standing Committee for their oversight, the Honourable Chairperson and the members. Also, thank you to the Minister for his guidance and advice always on the budget and how do we approach matters in municipalities and local government, and also to the entire team, the senior management team and all the staff in the department, as well as the finance team that has put together the adjustment budget. From our side, thank you very much. Much appreciated. Obviously, we will work together with all other stakeholders, national, provincial and local, to ensure that we have a fairly stable local government in the province. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bolsa. Final word, Minister.
Chairperson, I want to thank the Standing Committee. It's always good to interact with you. It's always good to share some ideas with you. No single one of us knows it all. No single one of us got the right or single mandate to what is right or wrong. So let's work together as a team. There's huge challenges out. We've sit with 16 coalitions, and we will all need to work together to see to it that service delivery on the ground do happen. But may I also wish you all a very blessed Christmas season and also time to spend with your families. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. And I see Honourable Moran. It's a pressing question. If we're not going to respond to that, I'm going to ask you to put it in writing, or if it's not that,
Yeah.
and then we. Yes, sir.
I've asked the 6 million rand. I have asked about that because the HOD have spoken. Basically, they're going to speak to Provincial Treasury. The 6 million rand, which will be made provision within the 22-23 MTF, whether it can be used for drought initiatives, whether this million rand, the only way was it to surrender it, or whether they could have spoken to Provincial Treasury and used that particular money for those drought initiatives instead of surrendering it. But if you want me to put it on, I've asked that question, it's not been answered. If you want me to put it on writing, I will do that. But also lastly, before the ABC know, we see you, ABC. We see you for what you are.
Okay, thank you, Honourable Moran. I think that we can put that question in writing, and I think you'll get a quicker response in that sense. From our side, Minister and Mr. Bolsa and your colleagues, thank you so much for the sterling work that you've done to facilitate the establishment of all the councils in the province. I think it was a mean feat within the stipulated times, and for the support that you and the department has provided to municipalities throughout the year. May yourself, the Minister and your team and your families have a safe and blessed festive season. Thank you. You may exit the meeting if you so wish.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Honourable van der Westhuizen, I recognise you.
Thank you, Chair. I want to propose that, having listened to the department and having been able to look at the adjustments, that we as the Standing Committee I propose that we as the Standing Committee support this vote. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Jan, can you just, there's the report, can you just enlarge it a little quickly? Okay, I will read it into the minutes. It's a committee report. The report of the Standing Committee on Local Government on Vote 14, Local Government in the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill B6/2021, dated 7th of December 2021, as follows. The Standing Committee on Local Government, having deliberated on the subject of Vote 14, local government. In the schedule to the Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill, B6/2021, referred to the committee in accordance with Standing Rule 188, reports that it supports the vote. That's a proposal from Honourable van der Westhuizen. Is there a seconder for that?
Chair, there is a second.
Okay, so it's unanimous. Honourable Boita, Makamba Boita.
Chair, thank you very much. The EFF would like to express its minority view not to support the vote. And I'm not sure if you are still going to give us an opportunity to request some additional information from the department after this process.
Yes, yeah, we will do that, yeah, of course. Let's just deal with the report quickly. Honourable Moran.
Thanks, Chair. and I would like if the Honourable Bodja will support me, will second my proposal. Basically for this committee, Chair, I want to propose that this committee not to support this appropriation bill, the adjustments of the appropriation bill. And if it becomes a minority view, that together with the EFF, the ANC, in terms of rules. No, I was saying, Chair, I wanted to propose.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
This is just a report. I mean, it's not, I think the House will.
No,
Yeah,
Chair.
the House will, yes?
Chair? Yeah, I know there's a report. And there's basically, Chair, if you look at the first paragraph and the second paragraph, that this committee have deliberated and reports and that it support the vote. It says it support the vote. I'm saying that it should read that we are not supporting the vote. And if we have to test it, we test it. And if our view becomes the minority view, that it should be captured within, as per Rule 90 of the Standing Committee, that it should be captured as the minority vote. But yes, that's why I was saying that if the Honourable Bodja will basically seconded my proposal for it not to be supported by this committee, so be it, so not be it.
Okay,
that's my proposal.
Then we have to vote.
I'm proposing that this committee don't accept, don't support.
Okay, there's two proposals, one that we support and another that we don't support. Okay, can I have, and it is clear that Honourable Moran and Honourable Boita do not support the report. Honourable van der Westhuizen and Honourable Maseko support, and I, as the chairperson, exercise my casting and deciding vote, and I would go along that we support the report. Thank you.
Thanks,
and it will also be captured that in terms of Rule 90, the ANC and the Economic Freedom Front expressed its view that it does not support the report. Thank you. Okay, right. That's done now. And in terms of the minutes that was circulated amongst the members, I've gone through the minutes. So, Johan, can you just let us have those minutes, please?
Yeah, shall we start maybe with the report on the annual report?
The report on, yes, let's start with that, it's fine. We have 5 minutes left. So, colleagues, I've gone through the report. Can you enlarge it a little, please?
Okay, there we go, Chair.
Okay. Our deliberations and annual report that was, happened a few week or so ago, and it was circulated to all members. Can I have a proposal that we either accept or do not accept the content of this report?
Chair, I propose that we accept and
I think there's a proposal by Honourable Seku, and seconded by Honorable Boita. Honorable Moran.
Chair, I just wanted to check whether I was present in this meeting.
Yes, you
no,
were.
No, Chairperson, Member Moran wasn't present at the meeting.
Okay.
I was not present, Chair, so
okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah, so
could we have the thank you. Let's just move on, Johan, to the minutes quickly.
Okay, Chair.
Honorable Makamba Boita, I see you. Is that the legacy hand?
Chairperson, no, that was my old hand, so I'm going to raise my hand again for the second round.
Okay, good. Thank you. Right, the minutes of the 14th of September. Those present, all those who are present here today, I've gone through the minutes. It seems to be in order. Is there a proposal that we adopt the minutes?
Chair, I propose that we adopt.
There's a proposal that we adopt, and it's seconded by Honorable Boita. Okay, on the next, there's another set of minutes.
Chairperson, yes.
Apologies, Chairperson. Can I just say something quickly?
Yes, Johan.
Chairperson, I just wanted to inform Johan Kutsia, I just noticed that the report on the annual report that was adopted, Johan must just remember to change the date right at the bottom. It says 2 December at the moment. Maybe that's when it was drafted. It might just say 7 December when you sign it. Just a small thing.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
That's why you are here. Okay. That's the minutes of this 16th of November.
I propose that we adopt, Chair.
Johan?
Chair, I just want to see, I think I've got the wrong one there now. Let me just try again quickly. It's the report. Chair, I think I've lost him now.
Okay, let's just move on to the tracking document in quickly.
First quarter report, Chair, I've got.
Okay. Let's do it.
No.
Okay, just colleagues, I've gone through it. Just check your attendance quickly. Yeah, and that's a program that you have there.
Yeah, no, it's.
I don't see my name.
Chair, today is now.
Okay. With that, colleagues, can I say that whatever is outstanding, we leave it over till our next meeting next year? Allow me to thank all the members present for your participation in the meeting and for your oversight role over the entire year and the support that you have provided me and the support staff. But in particular, my appreciation and gratitude goes towards our support staff, Mfundu, Johan Vermeulen, and Siam, and others who are not here who played a critical role in ensuring that we get our things done. From my side and on behalf of the rest of us, we would like to wish you all a blessed festive season, and may you be safe and may you enjoy your rest days. And with that, colleagues, I'm just going to lastly call for any resolutions. And I think there was one that Honourable Makamba Boyko would like to mention that we need to take note of. Jan, we're not going to adopt these minutes. We'll leave it till next year.
Okay.
Honourable Makamba Boyko, is there anything that you'd like to resolve that we should pursue?
Yes, Chairperson, I'm not sure if this, what I'm going to ask is going to be possible, that the department can supply us with a detailed report of all the disaster cases that they've dealt with for the financial year in question.
Okay, right, is there support for that? Right, Jan, can you capture that?
I've got it, Chair.
Right. Honourable Moran, is there anything that you'd like to resolve?
Yes, Chair. If there was any response from the National Department in terms of the rumor, it seems there was communication, whether we just request the communication that basically speaks to the determination of the support to this wildfire program, if possible.
Okay, thanks a lot, Honourable Moran. Okay, Johan, it seems to me that's it. And
okay,
colleagues, go well and enjoy the rest of the day.
Chair, is this our last? We will see each other in other committees.
Our very last meeting for local government today. Thank you so much. For this year.
No, I want to wish like Johan and Johan, those who will not be in those other standing committee meetings, happy holidays. Look after yourself, and we will see each other next year. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Anybody else would like to say anything?
Yes, Chair.
Please.
I would like to wish also Honourable Smith a happy holiday, Honourable Maran, holidays if we don't see each other, but I know we are going to see each other visually in agriculture. And Honourable Makamba Boja, you are also noted. Be safe out there. Siraj, with the IT, we appreciate you, Baba, all the time.
Yeah, also Siraj, happy holidays.
And thank you to our chair. Thank you, Chairperson, for your leadership. Much appreciated, and may you also have a wonderful time.
Honourable Makamba Boyta.
Thank you, Chairperson. All the best to all the members of the committee, together with our support team. Be safe and drive safe home, and come back healthy and energized in the next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. All the best, colleagues. And remember, the fourth wave is upon us, and stay safe. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.